Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. This is our Monday night webcast. My name is Paul Murphy. I'm your host. I'm joined tonight by Chris Morgan
Konbanwa.
and Justin Troop.
Gesundheit.
How's everybody doing, guys?
Doing good. Had some good
Yeah, man.
news on a Monday for once. How about
Hey,
you guys?
Can't argue with that. You know, we got some more information on the Dark Angels coming out this week. It is going to be an interesting release. I think I read something in one of the formations today that says that a unit must unit. It says you have to deploy or reserve this unit. Like, isn't that the case with every unit?
Bro, do you even unit?
Yeah, it's like unit must unit.
Yeah. All right, then.
Hey, whatever. I mean, there's some rules
Right.
when it comes in from reserve, but it just seems like I don't know. Maybe that's getting around deep strike reserves. You can't deep strike reserve them. I don't know if that's. I have to see how that clarifies in the rule, classifies itself in the rule book. But I thought it was interesting. They added in that whole run, shoot, run business. You can run. Anyway.
Yeah, I like that tactic because you can spread out your deeds, so you don't have to worry about.
I don't mind it. I don't like copy and paste. I don't like copy and paste rules. I think we're at a place where each of these formations, to feel like we're kind of getting our value of the game moving that direction, needs to be more unique in that sense.
I agree with you 100% on that. I literally hate the fact that I feel like when I'm playing Dark Angels, I'm playing Grey Knights. But, it is a fun rule.
Yeah, it's going to be neat. And I'm not saying you should deny it. It should have that plus some other stuff is all I'm saying.
Yeah, add a different level to it.
Some kind of throwaway trying to get you. Because there are some wallpaper formations that you'll never play. And I'd like to see a higher percentage of them be ones that you actually do use. Now, the Space Marine book, closer to it. Space Marine book is great. I anticipate similar things from the Dark Angels.
It's going to be on par. I mean, it has to mimic it in some aspects. It is an Astartes book, so you're going to see similarities. But, like you're saying, man, I saw one thing. I hope it's true, and I hope it's real, not some, elaborate Photoshop of the tactical objectives. When you roll for it, if you, I can't remember the exact wording, but, you can hide the roll number and the card from your opponent. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
The secrets, the Dark Angel secrets are hiding.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever.
I like that. I like that quite a bit, actually.
That's fluffy as heck, man.
If that ends up being a thing, sure, why not? I mean, I hope they are good. I have no reason to suspect that the Terminators won't be good. We've heard rumors of maybe getting some combi weapons on there.
The Maces going to AP3 is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Is it? I mean, is it really a big deal? Let me ask that question legitimately. Nobody really plays with Lightning Claws right now. They're already AP3 and Rule Wounds. I'm willing to bet that outmass having a Strength 5 or Strength 6 mace.
That's true. Touche.
So just for
I
perspective,
don't know, not just a one-off smash. I think that the smash is going to be good. I'm not saying that it's going to be the best thing ever, but I think that it's an improvement from where it was before. We'll see how the point costs line up to know for sure. But
it's going to be better. I'm just saying, how excited do we get about? I mean, all power weapons should probably be AP3 anyway, or better, instead of this whole going down to AP nothing.
Touche.
Bring back the chaplain.
I agree. I painted one. I need to use them.
So Gabriel's got a rules question. We might as well try to tackle this right now. It says, quick rules question. The Cast Space Marine FAQ states Airman can manifest the same Witchfire power 3 times. He is Master Level 4. This means he can cast 4 unique Witchfire powers 3 times each. I don't know about all that. So the rulebook states Psychers can cast unlimited Witchfires per turn. That is true, but his benefit is he gets to cast the same Witchfire over. You can't cast the same Psyker can't cast the same power over and over again. He can throw off 3 Flicker Fires or whatever it is, Brain Bullets,
and then one other.
Zinch or something, yeah. Lou's saying the maces look cool and fluffy. The maces do look cool. In many situations, I replaced that mace to be a Thunderhammer on a miniature that I could actually get business done on the table.
I agree. I think it's a very solid look.
You did win a box of those once.
Yeah.
I know, you were so happy about that, Paul.
That
your best prize
from the, I think it was the Sisters, it's forget the name of the Inquisitor, the guy with the mace that has all the runes and stuff all over it. I use that bit for many things. Back in the day. Now it used to be you could actually bid order it from Games Workshop. Can't do that anymore.
The good old days.
Yeah. So what's up, Troy, Steve Booley, Lamont, Lou, Gabriel? Good to see you guys. What are some other things happening in the world right now? ATC, 40 teams registered currently right now. I think they're making some space for a few more. I mean, that's over 200 people coming together for a big team event.
They put something up today saying that they only had like 5 more team slots available.
That is true. So if you're on the fence about registering, register now. All the who's are going to be there. It is going to be a giant event. It is going to be a very fun weekend, and that there's no better time to do it than now. It's going to be hot, but other than that, it's going to be fine.
The room blocks are filling up too, so get on that sooner than later, so you don't end up pulling the TroopSmash and having to drive all the way around the world finding a Red Roof Inn or whatever it was I had to stay at for the seasonal.
Yes, reserved now. I'm at the Best Western. That's where I normally stay. It's one of the better hotels in the area. It's a small area, so there aren't any of the giant hotel chains. But the hotels are nice. There's some that I may not suggest. I don't want to name any names, but there are some that are nicer than others. I'm going to be at the Best Western. If you're coming, hit me up there. Have a good time.
Fortune Narrative does not specifically endorse any one hotel.
Or not endorse other hotels. I just want to make that was the point I wanted to make.
We do or do not possibly maybe might possibly can also endorse nothing sometimes.
Have a preference or not have a preference is the case may be.
You guys have both lost me.
Okay, so let's talk about the hot button going on at 40K right now. Independent characters joining the Skyhammer formation. Now, I charged that specifically. I could have kept it vague and be like, joining units that have special rules, do they benefit from the special rules? So I'm going to say right now that I believe that an independent character joining to a unit becomes part of that unit and gets the rules associated with that unit, including things given from a formation, just like it's the Blood Angel rule. You know, in the same way that a character would be affected by things, I don't know, like going to ground or hallucination or whatever that gets cast on a unit because it affects the whole unit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to open with that. But to play devil's advocate, let's throw a counterpoint at it for the purpose of debate. Does that work?
Sure.
All right. So we have an independent character that doesn't have the fearless rule, and he joins a squad that is fearless. Fearless specifically states if it has one or more dudes with fearless, it confers to the whole squad. He's part of the squad. He gets it. It's specific like that. But it isn't specific like that for some of these formation rules. How would you counter that?
There's other things that also specifics about if you don't have it, you don't, and everyone doesn't have it, you don't get to benefit from it. So there is wiggle room. I don't want to say that everyone's arguments against it have been completely invalid because they aren't. I can see reading through this why you would get pause. The thing that sticks to me though is that the book tells you what independent characters get and how they behave. And whereas if an independent character joining a unit of Blood Angels essentially gets all the Blood Angel benefits that don't otherwise contradict itself, like the Chalice. They would get Feel No Pain, but they wouldn't get the thing that says specifically affects Blood Angel models, or whatever, which is the +1 weapon skill.
Right. No, I see exactly what you're saying there. I agree that it makes perfect sense to me that the people... Because people are using non-rules reasoning to justify why this can't happen, so I can use non-rules reasoning to justify why I can't. The people that are formulating this strategy should be able to participate in a strategy, and that's what your HQ and your independent characters are there to do, right? Isn't that their function on the battlefield?
You could get themey, and I completely agree with it. I guess really what I'm at is that we're kind of in a place where everyone's opinion matters to what kind of 40K you play right now. And if that's not supported in your area, then it's just not supported, and there's nothing you're going to be able to tell someone that disagrees with you that's going to make them change their mind, because we're living in a world where everyone gets their opinion about this kind of subject.
See, what we need is some good old imperial fascism to go into.
That's right. Somebody to tell you.
This needs. We need the rules, Ordo's rules, to come down and enforce the Emperor's will on some of these things. You know what I'm saying?
I support the tournament organizers to be able to say what they'd like. And here, I think there was just a point from Gavin saying, so you're basically ignoring the section of the IC rules that actually says special rules do not confer to the unit, and vice versa, unless it specifically says so. And what it's not vice versa. It's not that cut and dry. We'll bring it up at some point. I don't want to necessarily slow the thing down with looking up the actual rule right now. Maybe Chris, if you get your rule book, we'll get the independent character section, and we'll do that, and I'll give some more shout outs. Archon of Chaos, his question was, do vehicle or buildings without a troop capacity have any hull points? And I was like, of course they have hull points. What are you talking about? But in the rulebook, or in Stronghold, I believe, and maybe even the rulebook itself, it only says that you check how many hull points on a vehicle. I'm sorry, at a building. I'm sorry, I keep screwing that up. Based on its capacity to have people, and some of these things don't hold any people, so they don't have, by the rules, any hull points. I don't have an answer for that, and there hasn't been an FAQ as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It's something that you wouldn't have really thought about either until somebody brings it up. So
yeah, and he asked you the question. I'm like, man, that's what I mean. Obviously, it must be right there in black and white. Like it's got to be, but it isn't. It really isn't. Coachman, good to see you. Kelly K, good to see you as well.
I'll be playing him here in a couple days again.
Sweet, yeah. Troy's coming in saying that, yeah, obviously that everyone gets an opinion because we're Americans. It's and we stand behind our opinions even if they are wrong. That is
true story.
And all options are dumb. That's the further his point. Those were his words, not mine. Carl Short saying he went to War Games Con this weekend. That, by all accounts, was a blast. Yeah, I'm happy to say that I know a lot of people that were in the top bracket, and I'm real glad they did so well, and I can't wait to pick their brain on some of their tactics and their army list.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a couple good friends in there, definitely hitting it hard in the top brackets there. I think Nick Rose knocked out my boy. So.
Oh, he did. Well, Nick's a great player. Happy to have played with him and have him on teams for the ATC in the past. It looks like Pajama Pants took down the victory. I mean, he's been on the show, and you know he's a great player.
With orcs.
Orcs and demons. So it's a list, very strong list, and glad he did as well with it. Ben Molee, a great player, also on the top.
Oh yeah.
Goat Boy apparently just got edged out of the top.
Yeah.
These are all. I mean, a lot of those folks are Texas native, so of course they were there, but they still had to compete over in the same rounds, same way that everyone else did.
Yeah, that's a star-studded event. It's central too. You got to think, so it's real accessible to a lot of people. Much how Feast was, it's kind of centrally located, so it's not completely across the way for everybody. It's a nice, good middle ground.
Austin's a great city. Austin is a very fun city to hang out in. There's a lot of social things that you can do. It's a very active city. I've gone there for work a few times, and I've gone there a few times for War Games Con, and I have a great time every time I do. It's going to be on my list to try to include next year for sure.
Yeah, top 5 most awesome places in the world, or well, not the world, the United States.
Well, for 40K, I'll say.
I mean, even just the nightlife there in general, it's really cool. It's a city of music.
It is. It's a fun college town. What is it, like 60,000 folks?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Real good place.
Okay, we ready for this?
No.
Yep.
All right. So the part that Gavin is reading says, when an independent character joins a unit, it might have different special rules from those of the unit unless specified in the rule itself, as in the stubborn special rule. The unit special rules are not conferred upon the independent character, and the independent character special rules are not conferred upon the unit. Special rules that are conferred to the unit only apply for as long as the independent character is with them. So, reading this, it sounds like special rules in the main rulebook, which seems logical, right? Fearless, for example, stubborn is the example they give here. but the rules in a formation are not special rules that are in the main rulebook.
That is a valid point. That's also a valid passage. I said we're not going to solve it here. I'm just putting it out there. Mm-hmm. It is something that the wording is murky, and this is not the only instance in where murky words exist in the rulebook, and yet we move on just fine.
Hey, the rules are like Terminator armor, man. They are so tight and stuff.
That's right. The world could explode.
Was that the very last sentence in that thing?
No, that was the.
That's the one that
of
always.
Of course not. And then there's another line that says they get
every special rule. Yeah, like that's the sentence that I keep falling on, because it's like, bam, here it is. Like they get everything.
While an independent character is part of a unit, he counts as part of the unit for all rules purposes, though he still follows the rules for characters. So
bam, 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 bam.
And Archon of Chaos asking, how do we handle the Void Shield generator and the Vengeance batteries in the various tournaments? I've never seen a Vengeance battery on the tabletop, ever. In any game I've ever played, never encountered it. The Void Shield generator, we gave 3 hull points. I don't know why. I just know that's how much it had.
I think medium building rules should apply for the Void Shield generator.
I wish it was that cut and dry, but in the text it really isn't.
I thought I'll look into that and I'll address that on the Facebook post.
There you go. There you go, rules man, Justin Troop in action.
Bringing the hammer down.
Real briefly, not 40K, kind of not 40K. I played Forbidden Stars this weekend.
Oh, I want to hear about this.
This game is fun. It's set up. It scales out depending on how many players you have. The figures in there, I mean, the scale is off a little bit, but they're very detailed. Nice. I would easily let someone play Epic with these things if they wanted to. Like if I was playing Epic and they showed up with these figures, I'd have no problem with them playing it. They're that detailed and that cool. The ships are on a similar scale to Battlefleet Gothic. They're not Battlefleet Gothic ships, and they're not on the exact same scale, but they're similar enough to where you could probably play that if you want it. And if you just like cool-looking figures in your board games, this is also interesting. You set the board up.
The Marines are Ultramarines.
Yeah, they have Ultramarines all over them too.
Mm-hmm. So you can't paint them red.
Yeah, the rules actually tell you not to play the other races when you're playing just your first time 2-person game. It says just play Marines versus Chaos. And the combat system is the only thing that kind of got me. It was a little clunky. But once you started, I think it was something that you could master if you just spend a little bit of time doing it.
I've been oogling it. I'm hoping someone gets the hint. If you're watching, which you probably aren't, buy that for me.
But it's neat. I mean, it wasn't. There's a lot of cards and there's a lot of kind of tokens and stuff to mess with, but they're all easily identifiable and marked, and it was a fun time. I mean, we didn't get through the whole game. It kind of ran a little bit long, but that was largely due to the learning curve.
First game is always going to go long, and good luck finding a Fantasy Flight game that does not have a billion tokens in it.
Yeah, but they put out a solid game. I don't mind them.
Yeah, I think it helps the game.
As long as they all have a valid use and they don't bog the game down, and these didn't slow the game down at all. So the way combat works is you get like a dice pool, and then you roll the dice, and they're supposed to stay there. And then you play cards. You have a combat deck, and you play the cards off of the dice. And anyway, it's very interesting, and it seems very well thought out. And I feel like once we do it a few times, that we should be able to get it no problems.
I'm all about that. What's your favorite move that you've done so far in that game?
The coolest thing?
Yeah.
Doing some orbital strikes that actually paid off were kind of neat. You can stay off planet and shell shock people. It's difficult. You have to basically do enough casualties to do something. There's some neat stuff in the game that if you do this, it lets you activate like a special ability. So my buddy was able to transform one of his Marine units into a Land Raider, and that was kind of difficult to deal with. So it's like a Land Raider defending a planet. Obviously, it's like a battalion of Land Raiders defending it against a Chaos Onslaught. It's pretty neat.
Wow, a Land Raider that's hard to get rid of.
Yeah,
This
it
is
was.
such an inaccurate game.
It really was. So Kelly Kay is saying that the absolute bare minimum you can get out of the shop for a double demi company is 985 points. Then you get free stuff. Just saying, you get free. You just want to point out you get free stuff. So.
Yeah, Kelly loves mech. He's all in on the tanks, man.
There's nothing.
Mech.
Treadheads
That's
represent,
cool,
man.
Yeah.
With that demi company though, it's just it doesn't do that much damage.
Yeah, it's like a wave of bodies and a wave of stuff. I mean, it's good in that aspect. It lacks punch though.
I think the way to maximize
MSU Marines.
You've got to focus on all of it. You have to I'm going to get everything I can out of this.
Yeah.
And having 10 guys in a formation or in each vehicle is not bad.
Oh yeah.
Even if you take 10 dudes and then get the Razorback, I think you can still do that, right? Because you can deploy a combat squad and say these guys are going to the Razorback and these other guys are going somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, there's tactical flexibility for sure. I mean, it doesn't suck. We're not saying
it doesn't.
It does not suck.
Just playing the armies and with some missions, you get the idea that you don't want to be hemorrhaging kill points without the ability to somehow defend them. And the Demi Company can't really defend its kill points.
Touche.
Yep. Yeah, kill point missions like any of those free things where you're getting lots of small squads of something to unlock something, you're definitely opening yourself up for some of that kill point disadvantage.
Again, it doesn't mean it's bad. Armies like that, MSU armies, have been thriving in 40K forever. So or as long as they've been able to exist. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, every army that you take, every build that you try and take, is going to have some of that give and take. There's going to be a weakness somewhere that someone can exploit or that a mission may exploit. You just got to be ready for that. And if you're studying your missions beforehand, if there's enough of them where that kind of a disadvantage is enough to break your experience up a little bit.
Yeah. What Coach is asking is, and I think this has been answered, but we'll go ahead and put it out there for everybody, is that if you take 3 Predators and get the Tank Hunter Monster Hunter rule, one is destroyed, do you lose the rule, or do the remaining tanks keep the rule? Unfortunately, you lose the rule.
Yeah.
Wah.
It's fun. Think about it. It wants you to take 3, so that's a huge point investment. Now you have 3 cool-looking models. But now you have to figure out a way to protect those 3 to maximize how long you get to use those abilities. And I think that adds a new layer of tactics and stuff that you need to think about when you're using those lists.
With the Vindicators, though, you could put a punch. You could hurt the things that hurt the Vindicators pretty easily.
Oh yeah, bully that up, lob out that huge freaking strength 10 AP was 2-1. Holy cow.
AP2.
Yeah, ignores cover.
With the ignores cover?
Yeah, takes half the table off.
Anybody who knows they're going second against that army is going to deploy themselves in such a way that those are not going to be in range of a shot the first time.
Yeah. And dude, I love Vindicators, man. I was an artilleryman when I was in the Army, and it was all about tanks shooting big stuff and making big explosions. That's what a Vindicator is, man. That's so cool.
They've always been neat. They just never, for a while, they haven't been very effective. And I think that gives them, I love the fact that if you take these squads, you get the extra rule free. And I don't think that if you're losing one, you lose the rule is a huge disadvantage.
No. I mean, you still have 2 blasts. And then, honestly, too, you got to look at it in this aspect. Is 1 bigger blast with ignores cover better than 3 blasts? There's those tactical
sometimes that ignore cover is where it's at. Sometimes that ignore cover is
yes.
exactly where you want to be.
If you got some hunkered down unit that's straight up 2-up cover save, definitely you want to ignore that cover and blow them off the table. But if you're just lobbing shots out there, sometimes just 3 of them is better. So it's all about target priority. It's all about thinking about what benefit you're going to use at the right time, which is kind of how that AdMech list plays. It got a lot of heat at War Games Con. Everybody was like, "Oh, that AdMech list with all that free war gear, it's not good at all." Are you crazy? It's still really good.
Missions and players, the pilot of the list, and the opponents have a lot to do with how any matchup goes. Dean's saying he's here representing the First Legion. Good to see you. I hope you're going to be happy with this next codex. With all these codexes, I just hope that people get what they want.
Yeah.
You know, as a Blood Angel player, I have to hope that other people are happy with what they get.
Hey, it's only looking up.
I'm just going to point out, I'm not the first one that said Blood Angels this time. Anyone else pick that up?
Fair, and not that the Blood Angels are fine, but they're niche, and they're obviously were a testing ground to see, you know, what the threshold for certain things were, and now they've unfortunately been in that slot before right before the Marines, and now the Dark Angels are going to get that sweetness right after the Marines, and yet Space Wolves still get all the cool rules.
Yeah, that was an exception.
Well, I'll tell you, I think with the squads of 3 thing, there's a real win there, because one of the things that, you know, I would choose not to take, like a Vindicator or a Predator, was the idea that for that one heavy support slot, I'm missing out on something that's a single model that can do more work. But now, if you have the ability to kind of MSU tanks, and you only have to fit them in one slot, all of a sudden you can take a more effective version of that, and still take the other thing that you wanted to take. You don't have to take 3 Predators, 1 per slot support. Like, I like the flexibility that gives you.
Give me 3 Daka Ball Predators in 1 slot, please.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? Like that's so awesome. It's such a cool rule, and I'm so glad that it's in the game now. Like it makes everything better. It took a little bit away from IG with the niche of that, you know, squadron-based tank thing, but
I hadn't thought about that, Justin. That's pretty true. But it does make the IG. I mean, but still, IG have Wyverns.
Yeah.
They have all the special rules they need on their own.
Yeah,
that kind of brings me to another thing I kind of want to bring up. So, because I've been studying up a lot on ITC in preparation for the event I'm running down here, and one of the Legacies of Glory from the Space Marine book has specifically been targeted by some of the balance, you know, changes, where you can't take the Ignores Cover Legacy of Glory. I think it's Legacy of Battle Kalik, something. Anything with a template, like a blast template or a small blast template, gains Ignores Cover, but you have to pay a point tax in order to get that. So for a blade, super heavy tank, you could get Ignores Cover on that giant blast that you're using for that. But that has been specifically banned by the ITC. But here you have these Space Marine Vindicators that get a stronger gun with a lower AP and a wider area. They get that same rule for free. I mean, that costs those 3 with that special rule by itself without purchasing it.
Stone Steve coming in for the Lion. I agree with your point, Chris, by the way. I want to address Coach's question here. He says the same goes in the same vein of question for the Librarius Conclave, is that if they lose a Librarian, do they lose the special benefits of the formation? And I want to point out that the squads in the Space Marine book say some things like, whilst, it says whilst.
I love that word.
Anyway, whilst the units doth include, no, it says whilst this unit includes 3 whirlwinds.
Verily.
Verily, whirlwind includes the mighty traveler that dost whilst. No,
you guys don't talk like that? I talk like that.
Oh, man, I'm so impressed by your vocabulary.
Right, and the Vindicator is similar. It doesn't use whilst. Like, they completely changed the wording on this. It says, if this unit contains 3 Vindicators that can all fire their Demolisher Cannons. And it's very important, that can all fire their Demolisher Cannons. So if it doesn't have one, then you can't do if it gets weapon destroyed or whatever, you can't do the thing either. But that's funny. I bet the Vindicator data sheet was written by an American, and the rest of these are written by someone in the...
Whilst that was written in America.
Because the Hunter goes back to... Whilst this unit doth include 3 hunters, each model Skysphere.
Oh, I love it.
Look, it's in the text. I don't know which copy. I don't know where I got my copy, but here it is. You know?
If I could afford it, I would have Duncan Rhodes follow me around and talk all the time.
Oh, that dude's he's got it going on. He's very much what they need to be doing. The Librarians Conclave does not have anything about the number of librarians in the unit. It just says at the start of the psyche phase you can nominate 1 librarian. Furthermore, and it doesn't do anything that's tied to the actual number that are in the unit or the formation. They don't even have to form a unit. It's just the formation.
It's hard. I mean, yeah.
My heart's beating.
So
once you get through some of the words, I mean, it just seems a little clear cut. Yeah.
I mean, it does say at the start of the psychic phase, if thou dost wish to nominate whilst one librarian.
Yes. There it is.
It doesn't say that. Oh, well, maybe it kind of does. That's the subtext. That's the subtext of the whole thing.
Oh, I'm gonna get a soundboard and I'm gonna have like a whilst button with cheers and choo-choo trains. Yeah.
But how cool is this Librarius Conclave? The Librarius Conclave can slot into almost any Space Marine army. It doesn't even have to be a Space Marine. If it's in Sisters Battle, if it's in Inquisitorial stuff to get some
Blood Angels.
It could fit into Blood Angels. Any single, if you take an Imperium army, this is your jam. Let's talk about that. You take that formation of Knights, they all count as one unit, then you take the Librarius Conclave.
Bam!
Cast all kind of powers out your yin-yang on those guys.
It's good, man. Yeah, that Librarian formation, man, it's just, that's the game changer. Stop arguing about that Skyhammer thing with a couple of Salt Marines charging on turn 1. This is like altering every list in a positive way. Like, hey, what's the negative of taking 3 librarians that cast powers like at whim? Nothing.
In power armor, that you can also equip with other weapons like combi weapons or power weapons. And so, I mean, they already come the force weapon, but you can give upgrades. Now that Iron Hands list, I mean, you can get to 1+ Feel No Pain without even thinking about it. I mean that makes.
Okay. You didn't mention bikes just now, and I'm wondering if you're feeling all right.
I
thought I did say bikes. Did I say bikes? I was like, you put
didn't say
bikes.
I was waiting for bikes.
Chris, I told you it's FAQ'd, all right? Bike is included in the point cost. It's 90.
It's just there, right?
It's like already there, 85 points.
I can't do it.
I posted that list up on Facebook. I don't want to start the debate or whatever. I posted the list on Facebook with the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard with that Skyhammer formation. Let's talk about how cool that is, because they get the Raven Guard's special abilities give them a whole ability for the whole first turn. So it's possible they come down, assault on turn 1, get some damage done, and then they're shrouded for the whole rest of the turn. I mean, that's not too bad. And if you had psychic powers in there to help further buff them if necessary, you've got a couple of resilient units that get damage output.
Well, and they'll get more damage output for their jump pack troops than anybody else does, because they can. I mean, they have basically a built-in fleet when they do that with the jump pack Marines, right?
Yeah.
Because they can use their jump packs in the assault phase in addition to the moving phase. So you're going to get Hammer of Wrath off in addition to all of the rest of the stuff. I think that's probably, it's funny to say it, but Raven Guard seem like the most optimized for that particular aspect of that list. Ultramarines. Sorry, go ahead, bud.
No. I was just going to agree with you 100%. Justin, I'm sorry.
No, I thought they get strength 5. Is it Raven Guard that gets the +1 on the Hammer of Wrath with the jump pack?
I think White Scars get the +1.
Oh, okay. I got confused. Damn it. I was close. White, black.
Yeah, I think something automatically hits is great. Anytime you don't have to roll that die for that, and it's not like it's a super de-duper amazing Hammer of Wrath thing either, because it's just strength 4. It's an automatic hit, has no AP. It's fine. It's not like you're getting Carnifex strength 9 D3 Hammer of Wrath every time you charge one of these guys.
Sometimes my Hammer of Wrath has killed more people than my actual swings. So yeah, it's just dice, Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. It averages out. I like it.
That Skyhammer formation also, the way the Devastators work, you take 10 of them. We talked about this a little bit on the show, but you take 10 of them and you combat squad the Devastators, so they can fire at 4 units. That means 4 units, if they're not fearless or immune to going to ground or whatever, are going to have... You're in a situation where you're causing people to go to ground, so your Assault Marines, they're going to live. You're really handicapping what can fire back on them.
Yeah. Eat that, Tau. Yes.
It wouldn't be the same if Justin wasn't ripping on Tau.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey coach, I'm trying to make the Raven Guard be cool. I mean, they really did get the. I was going to do like this series all next week where I put out a Marine list for the chapters that are not the focus. You know, like I've got one that's kicking around for Imperial Fist. So if anybody's got any ideas for Imperial Fist, please hit me because I'd love to incorporate them outside of you. And I think the requirements are it's Pedro and 3 Stern Guard units. I think that's a must, and I wasn't sure how to fill the rest of it.
I mean, that in itself is strong.
Well, Dean is bringing up a good point, and I remember saying this at one point. The Dark Angels had a Librarius Conclave first with the December data slate, but the difference is that the Dark Angels one was more expensive than the new Space Marine one is, right? I mean,
didn't you have to buy the special character in that one? You had to buy a special character.
You would take Ezekiel, which wasn't. I mean, I don't think he was a horrible choice, but
no, I thought was that a requirement? I didn't know. If that was,
Yeah, you have to have Ezekiel, and the thing with Ezekiel is I think he's like 5 or 10 points more than Tiggy, but Tiggy's like way better, you know, like as far as utility, and that's where it's like that's where the debate comes in, you know, like Ezekiel is a great psyker, yes, he's good, he's not 165 point Tigarius, so.
Kelly's asking. It says when the Conclave have multiple. Dudes with the Primaris power, can you cast a primary multiple times? Those dudes got it. If they're not in the same unit, I think you can. If they're in the same unit, I think you've got to choose. But we're going to talk about that on the podcast. We have some compelling evidence one way or the other, and I don't want to spoil it. I also don't have all the facts.
There was a lot of head shaking going on there, Chris.
There was. I was a little man in the corner of that conversation. I had to make my presence known without
I want to say anything. We will confirm or deny everything you just said.
Sweet.
And Gavin's coming in and saying Imperial Fist Skyhammer, Combat Squad, the devs, 4 multi-meltas. You know, that's with Tank Hunter and the bolters. And the bolters get bolter drill. I mean, yeah, that's you can put the Skyhammer on anything. I just think it's especially effective with the Raven Guard because they get to come down, do damage, and then kind of they can absorb the fire because they're going to have extra cover saves. And a lot of units have gone to ground, so you've got these assault units that can do this cool stuff a little bit.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, you know, you throw it all out there and you get to absorb it back. I mean, that's awesome.
You forgot about your 2 main heresies for that. About Heresy the first. You have 2 chapter masters. Heresy the second. Yeah. You have stout bikers.
Okay, let me clarify the whole chapter master thing. Like,
I want everyone to hear this.
I also sometimes struggle with the fact that there are 2 chapter masters, like fluff-wise, like what is going on? Who did this? There's not 2 chapter masters or whatever. But then I rationalize it like this. Are you ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready.
In the chapter, in all chapters, they're limited by resources, right? Limited by even that resource could be a rank. That resource, there's only a singular. They have limited Terminator armor. They have limited jump packs or whatever. And like veterans, they could become Terminators, don't get to be Terminators, but they're no less a veteran.
Yeah, touche.
And it's just a stat line. It's just basically his ability, classify him as a veteran. He's got all the experience, but he doesn't get all the upgrades and whatever. There's just another guy in the chapter who's just as slick as that chapter master guy. He just can't fill that rank because somebody's already in it. Happens in the workplace all the time. Space Marine job like anything else.
Incoming commander, outgoing commander.
I was just going to say.
Right seat ride.
That's all it is. Well, it could be a chapter master from another chapter of the same parent chapter. Anybody think about that?
Yeah, could be.
Could be Death Specters and Raven Guard holding hands and, rainbows and butterflies. There's all the love there.
Forge your narrative. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's how you're forging that narrative.
This is like the nice thing here. I put that 60-point standard on the other chapter master. So everybody within 12 inches of him is fearless and gets +1 attack.
Yeah.
So the Raven Guard come in and say, for Istvan, and kick your behind.
Yeah.
What's Istvan?
Some people died,
So it was a bad day for them.
I've heard of Istvan before. I bet Istvan seems unfamiliar.
You keep it up.
I'm the reader, man.
Coach is asking how you get out the Devastators. Man, it's hard not to want to play with the graph cannons, but if you want to put them way back, you could easily put missile launchers or heavy bolters on them, or even las cannons. They get relentless when they come in.
Yeah.
So you could, you put 4 las cannons and a combi melta on the sergeant, or something. You come in and on both sides of a knight. Think about playing against demons and demon prince. Like if Fate Weaver's on the table the first round, come in and charge Fate Weaver. He's locked down for the whole game. Maybe the Assault Marines don't kill him, but he ain't killing any of them.
Yeah, touche.
If you're worried about putting 10 32mm bases in harm's way, that's what the scout bikes are for. Chris is talking about the second mark of heresy. Scout bikes can take locator beacons.
Yeah,
And they
I'm all about
Raven
that.
Guard. Yeah, Raven Guard scout bikes still get the shrouded first round of the game.
Words I never thought I was going to see uttered. Yo, I need more scout bikes.
I know. It was like,
First thing I put in there, I need 6 scout bikes.
I was like scratching my head. I was like, did he mean like scout snipers or?
I got like a
The
laughter
bikes.
cramp.
They're cool looking figures.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I think they're awesome figures. I don't understand how an Eldar in the same armor as a Guardian on a bike suddenly has a 3+, whereas a Scout on a much more sturdy-looking vehicle still retains his 4+. But
Yeah, those scrawny Xeno scum need something. All right, let them have something. They're not cool.
Xenos can have nothing but death. Die, filthy Xenos.
Oh, we got to be fun with it. We got to be nice to the Xenos. I'm playing Eldar this year a little bit.
You can be nice to the Xenos. I can hate on the Xenos.
Troy's asking a very important question. So, what colors are you going to paint your Armada fleet? They do kind of beg to be painted. They're big enough and they're cool looking enough and detailed enough. They kind of beg for a legit paint job. Not the ones that they come with aren't good. They are good.
Yeah.
But being able to, they beg for it almost.
As a pre-painted model, man, they're probably top notch. Like some of those D&D pre-painted dudes, like half of their faces looks like it's melted off and blurred into other colors. Like these are like legit paint jobs. And if you want to step it up and throw your hobby into it, by all means, I've seen some awesome looking X-wing figs and some Armada figs that people have done up.
There's nothing saying you can't.
Yeah.
Gavin is coming in a question about our comment about the Gladius Strike Force. Man, he brings up a good point. Teaming that with Imperial Guard, think of all the tanks you can cram on the table. You could fill the table, and even in an 1850 game, you could fill the table with tanks.
Yeah, 15, 20 easy.
That more than that, you're getting. It has to be more than that, and I'm thinking that's worth doing. Because Guard can put out some serious firepower.
Break the meta.
It really can.
I hate that word, by the way, meta. If we could avoid that word, I'd be happier.
Meta.
Yeah, right? Now my
I've
head
never met an army I didn't like.
Thanks for coming in with that.
Touche.
So Iron Hands, obviously the standout for the Marines. What do we think in the Dark Angel is going to be able to compete with that? Like, what's going to make... What could they possibly do, especially when they're getting rid of the powerful generator by all accounts? What could the Dark Angels possibly do to compete with the 1+ fun no pain? I'm talking about fun playability wise.
Jink.
What you want to take out of it?
Reroll that Jink, buddy.
Yeah, that's strong.
And
what about all the ignore cover in the game though? What else they got? Well, now it's power armor's power armor. Sometimes power armor just works, and not everything ignores covers as much as we say we do. You only see a ton of that, in the top of tournaments and stuff.
Somebody posted, I can't remember if it was in here or one of the millions of places I've read in the last hour. They said it's think of this Dark Angels book kind of like layers. Layer 1 is the dudes in green, layer 2 is the dudes in black, and then layer 3 is the dudes in white. If you layer that in and how you're thinking about the tactical advantages, use the power armor guys to draw
is the Dark Angels more like an onion or an ogre?
Ooh.
I'm
Coming
going to
from
say
me, ogre.
Bunyan.
Yeah, but it's cool if you think about how reading the 2 leaked formations that we've seen so far. There might be more. I've only seen 2, but the Deathwing and then the Ravenwing, there is synergy there. Like they work well together. It even
attachments.
Yeah, it even says in there, everything's better in 2s. So I think that there's going to be some tactical play. I still stand by my game, man. They're going to be more expensive than Vanilla Marines, and you're going to be able to get more value from Vanilla Marines to do the same thing, maybe better. in some cases, but I think that they're still going to be good. They're still going to be strong. They're strong right now, really. It's just there's certain things that they don't hold up to as well just because a million scatter lasers melts your 30 dudes.
Yeah, I think, and one of the things that I've noticed, venerable dreadnoughts, in units of venerable dreadnoughts, so I think that's a pretty strong sign, if we didn't know it already, that they were going to have the units of vehicles.
Yeah.
So
I hope, me personally, I was hoping that they were going to get Ignores Get Hot, because they have plasma on
I would love to see some cool plasma web rules.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
I think that would be very thematically appropriate for those guys.
That's what they needed. If that
I want to
would
rule it
change.
out. Yeah, I want to rule it out. Because we
Yeah.
might still, we're going to see 10 more formations than we already have, plus whatever comes out in the next expansion, past
Touche.
that.
Yeah.
But see, that's the
man.
thing.
Top tier.
I was joking with my Dark Angel player buddy. He knows who he is. And he, I was teasing him because in the Blood Angel Relics there is a plasma pistol that doesn't get hot.
Mm.
I was like, I think we may have stolen this from you.
Yeah.
The Blood Angels are known for their
You didn't
appropriating.
need that, right?
Yeah. The Blood Angels are known for their appropriation of war gear.
We shared a book once.
I thought that was a Blood
We took all the good
Ravens.
stuff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's a Blood Ravens, those filthy crows stealing.
No, the reason the
everyone's
Mechanicus
crap.
doesn't get along with the Blood Angels is because the Ball Predator.
Mm.
The Blood Angel found it wasn't discovered on Ball. They found the STC for the Ball Predator and kept it and did not share it with the Mechanicus.
I think it's because.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I think that's because Sanguinius foresaw that they would do naughty things with it.
It used to be a naughty thing generator, but now it is not.
But you remember that it used to be, what was it, in the 3rd edition book, where if you rolled a 1 when you were moving your kind of extra distance, that it would immobilize itself?
Yeah, that carried in the 4th edition too, if I remember right.
Yeah, I don't remember that was the White Dwarf Codex, right? 4th edition?
Seems right, yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting like 2 different.
They were one of the
White
first
Dwarf
ones
books.
to be FAQ'd. As soon as we went to 4th edition, like, we got to fix this Blood Angel problem.
Haven't heard those words in forever.
Yeah.
And it was. I don't want to relive the glory days too much, but it was very fun, and I'd love to see him back again.
Yeah.
With the Dark Angels coming out again, what are some more wish list things you guys want? In the chat too, please join in. Like, what's going to make these guys awesome? I think what I want to see is Terminators that make sense, like real beef Terminators, and being able to be led into battle by great characters.
On that note, I want to see the lion wake up from his cat nap.
Mm. Everybody wants to see a Primarch.
And we are not going to see that.
Oh.
In 40K.
Well, I want Belial to stop being a little buster and step up then.
Speaking of Belial, did you guys notice that in the 40K MMO, Eternal Crusade, or whatever it's called, they announced that the leader for the Forces of Chaos is Abaddon, okay? Mm-hmm. And then the leader of the Space Marine Forces is Belial.
Dude, he's awesome in the books, like fluff and all that stuff. Dude's like true awesome OG freaking beatstick dude.
That's cool. I can get behind that. Yeah.
Put him on the board. What's he do?
He's no Dante though, like because where the Blood Angels are a playable faction in that game.
Just that, but he said Belial needs Eternal Warrior so much.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. If Lysander can get it, why can't Belial?
Right? I don't even care about the 4th wound. Just give me Eternal Warrior. I'll pay 15 points for it. Make him 205.
A whole 15 points.
Yeah, that's a lot of points nowadays.
He agrees with you that the Space Marines are probably going to be cheaper. I'm not saying I don't think that they will. I think they're going to be the same point cost, but they're not going to have Chapter Tactics. They're going to have some Dark Angel rules or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I should clarify that. I factor in stacking USRs and stuff like that in points. So if I have a dude that is a dude, but then I have a dude that can reroll 1s, said dude is more point efficient. That's what I mean.
That's true. Yeah,
I should have clarified my.
So you think the Marines are going to be more point efficient with their Chapter Tactics and all the things you can stack up, and the Dark Angels are going to be more linearly focused.
Yeah, because what did the Dark Angels have in the last book in their attack squad as special anything? Like nothing.
Plasma cannons.
Yeah, so that was it though. So in my mind, well, he gets to reroll ones or whatever, whatever chapter tactic they have, scout and all this crap. So that innately is just making him more point efficient.
Yeah. Gavin's coming in with a point on the Devastators before about how to equip them. He's saying that everyone's going to love the grav cannons, but if he plays against a heavy orc and demon mid swarm, he's going to want heavy bolters every time. It's tough, man. You gear up your Devastators with heavy bolters, it's you're going to be playing some games where they're basically just firing it into the dirt.
Yeah.
And that's the rough spot. But if you're playing a strategy where you're playing a combat squad, there's nothing wrong with taking 2 heavy bolters and 2 multi-melters or 2 las cannons or whatever and combat and squad them into whatever configuration you want.
Missiles, maybe? Because you get pipe plates.
You pretty much articulated that the way I wanted to. Yeah, I forgot how to talk.
Hey, there you go. Everyone happens to everybody. And Justin's got a good point with the missiles, too. And, Skyfire missiles... I wouldn't invest the points in those.
Oh, no, not those. Just like the normal ones, because Strength 8 AP3, one-hit wonder, I mean, that's pretty good. And then, you got NIDs or cultists or whatever, you got to dislodge them. You start pie-plating the crap out of them.
Steve is saying that Azrael also really needs a reason to see action. He doesn't get enough use. He's beef now, man. With that 4+ invulnerable... I mean, although I don't know what it's going to be in the new book, rumor has it that he'll be able to apply to the vehicle that he's in. Also, that'll be fun. Cruising around in a Storm Raven or a big old Land Raider like one of the Forge World Land Raiders.
Put him in a Thunderhawk.
Yeah, Thunderhawk seems good.
I will say, man, I think the one thing that's probably going to happen, because some people have been talking about it, I haven't seen any validity behind it. But the Flyers are about to get huge buffs, so
they have to. They probably invested so much in the creation of those models, and then nobody's getting them, and then nobody's getting them to run them as the intended model.
Yeah, I want 3, and I don't even know what they do, just because they look so cool.
And Dean's saying that the Dark Talon Strength 10 AP1 Blast Vortex.
Vortex.
That's the real thing. That's going to be awesome.
Oh my God! Vortex is so cool. If you could get that, in the backfield somewhere for some of these summoning people, and you just have this Vortex just running around, just scaring the crap out of them. Oh!
I hope the speeders come back cool. Being able to reroll Jinx save across the whole army might be pretty cool.
I mean,
I know you mentioned that earlier, but I think that will be something that plays.
There is a lot of ignores cover, but honestly. How often do you see somebody that's well, I don't care about cover this game? It doesn't happen as often.
Archon of Chaos says he's tired of hearing about Dark Angels and Marines, but he wants to know when the next Demon Can book is coming out. And if I had to best guess, they're next. I'd give it 2 or 3 weeks, and we're going to see a Demon Can Zinch book.
You heard it right here. Secret CEO powers in full effect.
Right in the middle of this Age of Sigmar nonsense, you think they're going to drop it in?
It'll be after that. So Age of Sigmar is like I said, 3 or 4 weeks out. Age of Sigmar is going to be 4th of July, and then in probably the 18th, we'll see another 40k codex.
Use your CEO powers to lengthen Warhammer Fantasy.
I bet when we get to July 4th, people are going to be like, when's the next 40k book coming out?
Yeah, it's I got all this July 4th money burning a hole in my pocket. I need to.
Jeez, man. Why are they slowing down on the release schedule?
But I got high hopes for Age of Sigmar. If I could use the figures I've got currently right now for Fantasy Battle, get in there and play, I'm happy to give it a shot.
Dude, and they're talking about revamping some of the older stuff too to bring it more in line to this darker. I think that's the thing is it's going to be a little bit darker. Kind of End Times was well, let's just break the world, and there it is. I think we're going to continue on a darker path in that, and I think that's going to be really cool, man, because those sculpts that you got with those Nurgle dudes, those Khorne dudes, all the big kits were amazing. Name one big kit that was ugly. I'll punch you in the face.
None of them work. None of them work. Archon of Chaos is coming in with a cool thing for Dark Angels. Overwatch at full BS. And what about this? And get to fire their plasma cannons for Overwatch. How cool would that be? And Dean saying that he saw it on Elite Codex. So it's Vortex when you roll doubles. He saw some leaked pages today, which I've not seen. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Where'd you see those at, buddy? Hit us up in the that thing.
I think it's that thing. Maybe.
I don't know.
Kelly K is saying that. What do you guys think if they add more of these Warhammer Fantasy-esque type stat checks to where you roll like the frost cannon and that kind of stuff? Yeah, I think we'll see that kind of. We'll continue to see that kind of stuff. They are pretty sparing with it. That's one of their last wells to dig into.
Yeah.
You know, we'll probably see that when they run out of ideas.
I think that stat checks are one of those things that we could probably see more of. Honestly, I'd like to see more high stat levels, I guess you could say. Maybe not so far as wounds and things are concerned, but if we turn it into a D10 instead of a D6, which will never happen.
Heresy.
But like if we can do stuff like that, I think we can. One of the things I feel 40K is suffering the most with, and this is the most pronounced in the assault phase, is the difference between stats makes relatively little difference in the long run. The only stat that you care about in close combat really is an initiative, because as long as you have at least a weapon skill of 3 or 4, maybe 5, you're going to be hitting most everybody on 4s. Now, do you guys remember how it was before, where like if you were weapon skill 3 fighting a weapon skill 5, you only hit on 5s? Like, how much of a difference would that make with some of these tougher beatstick close combat characters like Demon Princes and Chapter Masters, or the Avatar, if people couldn't hit them as easily as they can now?
Avatar is hard to hit. Weapon skill 10, sometimes that does put them up in those 5 range.
Yeah.
I will say in that 5 range.
I don't like it when Demonettes can hit Dante on 4s.
Yeah.
That's kind of crap. But that's just personal preference.
I mean, it's an extra slap to the Sanguinor's non-usefulness that his weapon skill of 8 is meaningless in
Basically
terms of
meaningless,
other people.
yeah. It means he hits a lot of people on 3s. That's kind of what the weapon skill matters for, is like what character hits other things on 3s.
It's your prowess with the blade or whatever. So I mean, it makes sense. It's fluffy.
No, I get it, but that's really, but like on a game, how it affects the game is like, do I hit you on 3s or not? It's basically the question.
Yeah, and so far as fantasy mechanics moving in, I think that their treatment of rolling to hit and how cover actually minuses from your to hit, as opposed to giving you an actual save, is a good mechanic, because that, while still limiting the amount that someone can hurt you, they still get their armor too. And then you don't have to worry about cover saves. If they're in really solid cover, that might be a -2 or a -3 to your ballistic skill. I feel like that is a good mechanic that would port over well to 40K.
I'm looking forward to seeing the rules when they come out, and if it's a playable game, I'm going to play it. If I feel like I can enjoy it, I'm going to play the game.
If I feel like I can afford it, I might consider playing.
Hey, there's a lot of contributing factors. That's for sure. But at least the main core set of rules you can actually that's one of the things you can go in on with somebody else. You know, like, hey, let's invest in this book, and then you've got a built-in opponent.
Yeah.
But what I've got is a bunch of non-official fantasy figures that are just from a rule set that my family and I made. So I've got tons of, like, Old Glory miniatures. I don't know if you guys know any of those. They're all pewter cast. Have a whole crap ton of those. We've got probably, 200 plus dwarves, a bunch of elves.
Can nobody tell
humans.
you can't use those in your own private dwelling?
No, that's true. True story.
Well, guys, I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to get to all the questions. It's been a pretty good hour, but we're at the end of it. We will try to cover what we can, either on the next show or the next podcast, or please, if it's like a burning question and you want the answer right now, hit us on Facebook. I'll be happy to respond there. Facebook.com/Forge Narrative. If you haven't already, subscribe, please, to this page.
Wherever that's at.
And I think in one of these directions.
Yep. Anyway, guys, thank you all very much for joining me in the chat. Can't thank you enough. This is an awesome experience. Helps the time fly by. Justin and Chris, thank you all for joining me here on the video.
Yes, sir.
My pleasure.
It's always
you guys
fun.
have a good rest of y'all's night.
See you around.
Good night, everybody.